If you do this one thing every morning, I promise your business and your life will transform. My name is Duriel Kim. I'm the CEO and founder of Healthpreneur. I'm a New York Times bestselling author, former professional athlete, and for the past 20 years, I've been building 7- and 8-figure businesses and helping thousands of others do the same. Today, I'm going to share with you the one thing that has made my life the way it is today. And if there's anything you can do differently in your life, it's this one thing. Because here's the truth, is that your life and your business is a reflection of how you feel on a daily basis. Let me unpack this. How you feel dictates what you do. If you feel like crap, you are less likely to do your best work. If you feel depressed, anxious, stressed, you are much more likely to not do the things required of you to build the success you want. So the key is understanding that your emotion comes from motion. And what I'm going to share with you today are 10 very important reasons why moving your body and sweating are, as simple as it sounds, the single most important thing that I've done in my life to create the life and success that I've enjoyed. And if you're stuck in business, I know this sounds a little bit, like I'm looking for a strategy or tactic, but I'm telling you this, your success is 20% strategy and it's 80% psychology. I'm not the first one to share this with you. You've probably heard this before from people like Tony Robbins and others. The reality is if you are not in a resourceful state, you are not going to create the resources you say you want. Let me give you a quick example of this and then we'll dive into the 10 reasons why first time of the day exercise is going to change your life. If you have kids, ask yourself this, do my kids behave better after they've been running around at the playground, going for a walk, playing a sport? The answer is 100% yes. If you have dogs, why do people take dogs for walks? Well, because all animals, including us, need to move. Do dogs misbehave when they are cooped up all day? Generally, yes. Do they behave better when they move their bodies? Yes. If you've ever watched Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, one of the first things he does to rehabilitate the human, not the dog, is to get the owner of the dog to walk the dog every single day. And the same thing happens with you and your life. If you are not moving your body, your business is not moving. Now, I've got kids, and I'll give you a quick example. When they go to soccer, when I drive them to soccer practice, the car is very quiet. On the way back, it's nonstop talking. I'm like, guys, can you just stop for a second? And the reason is because they just ran around for 60 to 220 minutes, right? Motion creates emotion. If you want better results, it helps if you feel better. And if you feel better, let's look at how we start doing this. As a really simple starting point, let me give you an example of this. There's been some really cool studies around the power posture, right? You may have seen this on the TEDx, and I can't remember exactly who the TEDx speaker was who shared this, but if you just look into research around the power posture, it's this kind of Superman, Superwoman stance with your hands on your hips, elbows out wide, standing nice and tall. Research has shown that this boosts confidence, lowers cortisol, and many more benefits just by standing like this for 2 minutes. And if you want to try it out for yourself, do it right now. You can do it as you're watching this. Stand up, nice and tall, nice and proud, feeling confidence. Like you can't feel like crap standing like this, right? By contrast, if you stand like this, what do you think you're going to feel like? Forward slumped, like shoulders are down, slumping forward. This is not the body position of someone who feels confident and who's going to change the world, right? Your world specifically. Right? So as an example, something as subtle as standing like this can change how you feel. So even if you don't feel like working out today, okay, I'm going to give you a hall pass for the moment, but you can definitely do this. There's no excuse. This doesn't require any extra effort. Just stand like this for a few minutes and you'll feel the difference. Now, for me personally, I played pro soccer in the early part of my life, in my 20s. And I also went to school for kinesiology and health sciences. And honestly, it's one of the best things I could have ever asked for in my life, because it created this foundation for this love of movement. And when I look at what I do on a daily basis, I work, I hang out with my family, and we just are active. I'm at the soccer field, or I'm playing tennis with my kids, I'm working out, I'm running, I'm cycling. I'm doing things to move my body all the time because I realize I feel my best when I do that. When I feel great, I'm able to create awesome things. Why do you think people drink coffee? So think about this as I take a sip of my natural cold brew. We drink coffee because the first time or the first few times, that caffeine changes our state. It makes us more alert. It makes us more focused. And our brain is like, more of that. And so that we get into this habit of going to coffee to change our state, how we feel. Because we're like, you've heard the saying, someone wakes up in the morning, they get to the office or they're doing their stuff, like, I can't function without my coffee. Okay, fair enough. Well, what if we replace the coffee with movement? Now, I'm not saying you have to give up your coffee, but if we understand why we're drinking the coffee in the first place, to feel awake, to feel alert, we can get the same benefit without the adrenal depleting effects of coffee by moving our body. So for me personally, I have gone through moments of time where my workouts are in the afternoon, in the morning, all over the place. But I'll tell you this, you have to find what's going to work best for you. Okay. Now I'm not preaching what you have to do here. I'm just sharing what I have done and what I've noticed to make a massive difference in the people that I've helped over the years. I used to wake up first thing in the morning and get right into work. And to be honest, sometimes I still do. But I notice if I look back on my day, the best days are the days where I do some type of movement first thing in the morning. So when I'm looking at first thing in the morning, what I'm looking at is I typically will get up before the sun. So I want to be getting sunlight right away. If I wake up 4 in the morning, it's dark outside. So I have a softbox light in my office. I'll just turn that on and I'm shining bright light in my eyes first thing. That signals to my brain, it's time to get up. Let's turn on the circuits. Let's go. If I'm in the office and it's early morning and it's dark and I don't have the luxury or I've made the choice not to be outside at the moment, I'm doing that. I have a walking treadmill at my desk and I'm moving for a few miles as I'm doing some work if I'm doing that first thing in the morning. So that's typically what I'll do if I don't work out, quote unquote, in the morning. I'm getting early morning bright light and I'm moving on my treadmill as I'm at my desk doing the work. Now, if I am going to choose to work out in the morning, it's going to be whatever it is. It might be a run, it might be a bike ride. I typically don't do a lot of heavy lifting first thing in the morning. I'm 45 years old. At this stage of my life, my best workouts come a little bit later in the day, but I love the feeling of a good sweat. So again, for me, I'm not going to go like F45, kill myself first thing in the morning. I did that in the past. I didn't feel too great afterwards. So when I say moving your body, I'm saying find something that you enjoy that is sustainable and is also going to give you this benefit. When I say the benefit, what we're looking for is some type of huff and puff. It doesn't have to be like, I can't breathe, but like a talk test, right? You can hear your voice as you're talking. You can still talk as you're exercising. And also your body temperature is increasing. You're getting a little bit of a sweat on. If you can kind of maintain that type of feel, you'll have the benefits I'm about to share with you. So whether that's, biking on a Peloton or going for a walk outside or on a treadmill or lifting, whatever is your thing, it's amazing. Okay. I don't care what you do. I just care that you do it. Now, obviously, if we can get outside first thing in the morning, beautiful. When we go to our house in Mexico, the first thing our kids do every single day, no matter what, is we go for a 3 to 4 kilometer walk first thing in the morning, sunrise, overlooking the Pacific Ocean, rolling hills. They come back, they feel, and they behave so much better. And then they can get into their work. They can play a little bit of time on their computers. They can do whatever they want to do. But the first thing we're doing is we're moving our body. We're getting a little bit of, that motion to create better emotion. So I'm going to give you 10 specific reasons why exercise in general, but specifically earlier in the day, is going to be massively important to help you build the business and life that you want. So number one is it supercharges your brain. When you exercise, morning workouts specifically increases BDNF, which is a protein in the brain tied to learning and focus. So if you want to have a more focused and productive day, then if you get a little bit of exercise first thing in the morning, we're going to supercharge that protein to be a lot more alert during the rest of your day. The second reason is it boosts dopamine, or it increases your mood in general, right? So it's going to increase dopamine and serotonin, which are these feel-good neurotransmitters in our brain. And the more of those we have, the better we feel. I've never met anyone who didn't feel better after exercising. Caveat, I'm not talking about kill yourself type of a CrossFit type of workout. I'm saying you find a pleasurable form of activity, you feel better, life is just so much greater, and it's just beautiful. I remember when I was in university, I dated a girl who had psychotic depression. It's that's pretty severe. And one of the things that I would do with her was I'm like, listen, I'm just going to go out for a light jog. Do you want to join me? And after some resistance, because that wasn't part of her vernacular, if you will, or habits at the time, she would join me for a light jog, like nothing crazy, right? Like a jog walk type of thing. We go for 30 minutes. But after the 30 minutes, she felt so much better, right? And listen, like I'm not a huge fan of SSRIs and medications and stuff like that in general, because I understand like everything we're looking for is within us. And if we can move our body, we can change our state, we can change the chemicals in our brain, in our body, and feel so much better. So we know that there's so much research behind this, right? Whether it's anxiety, depression, stress, exercise is the magic pill. There's like, I'm not hopefully giving you new information here, like, but it's just a reminder. It's less about being taught new stuff, and it's about we're being reminded of stuff that we may know, but we're just not doing. The third reason I like exercising in the morning is that it builds discipline, right? If you set yourself to say, okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to work out at 6 a.m. no matter what, I'm going to do some yoga, some stretching, a workout, a run, doesn't matter what it is. It builds that confidence. It builds that muscle of doing something hard that we may not want to do. Like let's be honest. Most of us would rather just lay in bed or lay on the couch or do nothing. That's like the easier path, but the easier path leads to a very hard life. So by doing slightly harder things early in the morning, we build this muscle. We build this muscle like, you know what? Yes. And there's this sense of accomplishment. If you're like me and you're someone who values like making things happen in this world, accomplishing things is a really big kind of like check on the box there. So when you get a workout done, everything else in the day just becomes better because like, man, like I did this one thing. I feel so much better about myself. You build that confidence into the rest of your day. And it's just like, it builds not only your confidence, but your discipline. And when you build that muscle of discipline, it transfers into other aspects of your life. Because the thing is, it's not about the task, it's about who you are. When you become the type of person who just does this thing, you then look at the world as I am this type of person who just does things consistently. Whether it's a project at work that you're working on every single day as opposed to once in a blue moon or anything else. Like you're doing things consistently because you built the discipline. You have become the person to do the things to have what it is you want. Be, do, have. By doing things, it reinforces the being. And then you reinforce that over and over again. I'm this type of person. I do these types of things. Yep, I'm this type of person. Confirmation that I keep doing this good stuff. Eventually I have what it is I want. That's why I'm saying if you want to build a 7, 8-figure, 9-figure business, it doesn't matter what you want. All of it is going to be predicated by who you are at your core, how you see yourself in this world. If you see yourself as somebody who is worthy and who takes care of themselves and you have value, you're going to take care of this amazing vessel you're in much more than someone who feels the opposite. And so by moving your body, exercising early in the day, we start to reinforce this self-identity, which is discipline, confidence, self-worth, all that good stuff. The fourth reason morning exercise is obviously beneficial is that it gives you more energy, right? We talked about coffee, which is fine, to a certain degree. And exercise, the reason it's going to give you energy is because it changes your state, right? It gets blood flowing, oxygen to the cells, oxygen to the brain, all this good stuff. I don't think that's news, but we know that if you huff and puff a little bit, you're going to feel better afterwards. And let's be honest, like everything you want to create in life requires energy. If you think about this, if someone says to you like, man, I work 14 hours a day, I'm building this vision and I'm like, let's go. And you're like, how on earth do you have the energy to do 14 hours a day of focused, productive work? Just think about this. Like if you can put in 4 hours a day and then you're toast, the person who's able to put in 14, and I'm using this as an extreme example, obviously, that person is going to be so much further ahead in terms of what they're building compared to you who's only doing 4 hours because you don't have the energy to keep going. Very much like in a race, if someone has energy to keep, and when I say in this case, energy, stamina, whatever, to keep going, they will outrun and outlast anyone else who is not as fit, who doesn't have the energy, who doesn't have the stamina. But the cool thing here is that all of this is trainable. Now, I'm not saying you have to work 14 hours a day. But what I am saying is that to build something great requires time. It requires focus. It requires attention. And all of that is predicated on this foundation called energy. If you are exhausted all the time, you are not going to do anything. I can promise you this. I wrote a #2 New York Times bestselling book called The All-Day Energy Diet. I literally spent half my life talking about energy. It is everything. Everything is energy. Energy is everything. If you want a better business, if you want to make more money, if you want to have better relationships, if you want to feel great about yourself, you have to have energy. And the easiest way to have more energy is not by sucking on coffee all day. It's by moving your body, and instantaneously will change your states. And when you do that, everything starts to shift. Hey, we'll get back to the video in just a moment, but if you're enjoying this content, hit that subscribe button below. It will help me sleep a lot better at night. But more importantly for you, it'll help you build your dream a lot faster. So go ahead, subscribe, and we'll get back to the show. The fifth reason early morning exercise is awesome is that it sparks creativity. I don't know about you, but a lot of my best ideas and breakthroughs come when I'm going for a walk in the forest, by the lake, or by the ocean. When I'm out in nature and I don't have any distractions on me, like no phone, no headphones, it's me and clear space. If you take time for yourself, if not daily, several times a week to do that, I promise you the biggest challenges you are facing, you will solve. Because you're allowing nature to do what it needs to do with you. You're creating space to receive messages, to give your mental, your mind clarity to solve problems. So the breakthroughs, at least in my experience, don't come from typing on the keyboard, looking at the computer. In fact, what I've realized in my own life is that the less I do at my computer, the more our business grows. You know, if I'm out playing tennis with my kids or, sweating and, doing something else, a lot of times I come back and I notice like we had a couple enrollments, our sales increased. And there's this energy that happens when we're just disconnected from the work. I'm not saying we don't do the work, but there's this space that has to be created where, the universe or the higher power can do its thing through you as a vessel of creation in this world. And if we're not creating that space, then we're blocking a lot of the creativity that can happen. So getting out in nature, spending some time outdoors. And when I say this, there's two ways of doing this. One, and it depends. It depends on where you are in your journey, where your stage and the season of life you're in. Sometimes there are moments where I'm in a very consumptive mode. I'm just like, let me learn, consume. I want to learn and just like ravenously learning about something. So in those cases, I might be outside walking and I've got my headphones in and I'm listening to stuff. That's kind of one path of doing this. But the other path is like, okay, cool. I don't need more stuff. I just need to let it distill and do its thing. I need space. So in those cases, I'll go for a walk in the forest or I'll go for a walk outside in nature. And I have nothing. I don't have my phone on me. I have no headphones in. There's nothing. It's just me and nature. And I think you have to give yourself a bit of grace to say, where in my life am I right now? Do I want to be learning? Do I want to be consuming? Because there's a time and place for that, right? But we also, just like with food, can't consume all the time. We have to let our body digest. And it's the same thing here. It's like if you give yourself space with no device, no technology, no inputs, you allow your brain, you allow your mind to digest what it's working on. And from that's how we can build, new possibilities. All right, number 6, the 6th biggest reason, this is pretty obvious, is that it keeps you healthy. Now, I know a few people who built very successful businesses who died early on in life, like in their 40s. But when I look at their lifestyle, both of them, the two that I can think of right now, had a significant belly. Like you'd look at that and like, okay, this person's got like a beer gut, we'll call it that. They drank a lot. They had, cigars. And cigars are not going to kill you necessarily, but there's lifestyle factors, right? So when we make exercise and movement a priority in our life, number one, it just increases your lifespan and the quality of your life. And there's really nothing worse than building something like a business that you're not around to enjoy. There's no point in having all this money if you're dead. There's no point in working hard if you die tomorrow. I think the saying is something like, to the man who has great health, they have an endless amount of wishes. To the man who has no health, they only have one, which is essentially like having their health back, right? So I think it's obvious to say that like if you want to be wealthy, it also really helps to be healthy. The 7th reason exercise first thing of the day is massively important. I touched on this earlier. I'll just briefly touch on it again, is that it builds your confidence. So confidence is built on the back end of making a commitment to something, having the courage to go through it, and building the capabilities and skills over time. So when you say to yourself, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to, work out in some way, shape, or form, and you do that, you acknowledging the fact that you kept your word builds confidence. Confidence comes from keeping your word. Confidence comes from doing the things you say you're going to do. And when you do that over and over again, you have confidence in that one area. Now, you also become more competent in that area, which further builds confidence. So like I feel very confident as a soccer player, but I was a goalkeeper. So I'm more confident in net than if I were a midfielder. That's because I spent the most amount of time training and building competence as a goalkeeper. But I have very little competence and therefore low confidence in salsa dancing because that's not something I've spent a lot of time or desire committing to. So even with exercise, if you feel a little bit awkward or whatever, if you feel you go for that first workout or that jog and you feel so sore the next couple of days, welcome to the human body. I understand it's one of the more frustrating things. I still feel it. If I do RDLs, my hamstrings are always so tight afterwards. But you know what? It's all good, right? I can work on the soft tissue. I can keep working through that. And I keep telling myself, it's all good, right? It's part of the process. I'm just, strengthening my body. I'm making more flexible, more supple every single day. And all of that leads to the reinforcement of doing it more often, as opposed to, I don't like this soreness. I hate how I feel. Why am I so sore? I don't want to do this again. Exercise, bad, no good, right? We want to give a better meaning to the experience that we're going through. Some people, they might walk uphill on a treadmill and they start huffing and puffing. Like, let's say they're older adults. They might think they're having a heart attack. Whereas someone else who maybe is a little bit younger and has a different perspective around that is like, this is exactly how I want to be feeling because I know this huff and puff and this sweat is exactly what's going to strengthen my heart. And so please understand that when you do these hard things, it's good for you, obviously within reason, within a spectrum. And then the more you do that, the more it builds confidence that you're on the right path. And that confidence translates into every aspect of your life. I think we all know that when you feel better in your skin, you just radiate more confidence. Like confidence is an energy. Confidence is an energy 100%. And when you feel better in your body, you become a more confident person. And people are attracted to confident people, period. So if you want to build a better business, you want to influence more people to do something, opt in, buy something, work with you, that comes from them seeing you as a good option to work with. People want to work with people that are confident. No one is hiring anyone who is not competent and therefore not confident. So if you want to have a better business, you have to have a better body, period. The 8th reason morning exercise is massively beneficial is that it improves sleep. So just by somewhat fatiguing your body, and I use that term very loosely, by exercising, by moving your body during the day, you will sleep better at night. Is it going to happen right away? I don't know. Everyone has different sleep patterns. There's obviously different factors as well, right? So if I say like movement, exercise is going to improve your sleep, well, if you have a coffee at 6 o'clock at night, it's going to negate that a little bit. So let's just keep that in mind. But in general, you will have better sleep overall. You'll probably have a little more deep sleep. You'll feel better when you wake up in the morning in general. And we know that if we spend a third of our life sleeping, probably makes a whole lot of sense to get the best quality sleep possible. Number 9, this, again, a lot of these flow from each other. Number 9 is that early morning exercise has been shown to make you more productive. There's been studies that have shown that people who exercise early in the morning report stronger time management, better leadership in general, sharper focus, and they're simply better to manage their time throughout the day. Why is that the case? Who knows? There could be, the neurotransmitter reasons, the state change reasons, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that simply moving makes you more productive. If you're more productive, i.e. you create more output in any given unit of time, you will get closer to where you want to go in your business. And the 10th reason that early morning exercise is one of the most important things to do as a business owner is that it lowers cortisol and anxiety. And I'll tell you this, having worked with thousands of entrepreneurs, stress is one of the biggest reasons that kills them. And stress shows up in a lot of different ways. Stress of, this isn't going to work, I'm running out of money, what if? All of these are fabricated illusions of the future that don't exist yet. We are conjuring up fictitious movies that we're projecting about what's going to happen in the future that hasn't happened. We're creating a vision, we're creating a future that doesn't exist other than our own mind. It's impossible to create the results you want in life by focusing on the results you don't want. So by saying this isn't working or this may not work out or I might whatever, if that's the focus, you're toast. So when you are in a shitty state, the natural tendency is for the brain, your mind, to focus on the negative and the stressful things and the things that are not great. Okay, so you can play the game of let's change our mental thinking, sure, or you just worked out and sweat. Instantaneously, you change the thinking, instantaneously. So you can certainly go through the whole mindfulness and change your thoughts, that practice, meditative, the whole bit. But I'll tell you this, if you want the fastest path to changing how you interpret life, you change your states, right? You change your state. And by exercising, sweating, moving, huffing and puffing, lifting something, instantaneously, you will notice your thoughts start to change dramatically. Now, I'm using exercise as an example, but I'll share one of my little hacks is when I don't feel like I'm having a great day, I'm just like really blah or not as like into it as I might normally do. The one thing that gets me out of that funk is I shoot a video. And I shoot a video for two reasons. One is it's no longer about me. I'm like, cool, I'm going to just be of service and I'm going to share something. I know for myself, when I create something like a video, instantaneously it changes my state. Why? Number one, I'm using motion. I'm emoting. I'm speaking, right? There are muscles involved in speaking. I'm using my body. So I'm creating motion here. Is it a workout? No, but it's a form of motion. And I promise you this, after I finish shooting this video, I will feel very differently than when I started. And I'm not saying like every time I shoot a video, I'm feeling like shit. But when I am feeling a little bit in a funk, I know the fastest way for me to get out of it is either one, work out, two, put something out to the world. That's my little hack, and it makes a difference every single time. And the second reason I like to do it is because when we feel anxious and stressed, where's the focus? 100% on us. And I think that's selfish because you, like myself, probably have a big vision of what you want to create. Whether it's for yourself, your family, for the market, for the world, I don't know. But when we're so focused on ourselves, I'm like, how does that even get us closer to our mission? So by me shooting a video, I put myself out of the picture. I'm like, Yuri, it doesn't give a shit how you feel. Who cares? There are people out there who need to hear something. I'm like, cool, let me make it about them. Let me share something with you guys. So I get to give, and in so doing, I naturally reinforce the fact that I'm contributing and adding value. So for me, that's a really important, something really important in my life. I want to contribute. I want to add value. I want to get everything out of my being and share it with the world. So by doing that in combination with the fact that I'm simply moving a bit more in video, I feel better after shooting videos. If you're focused on what's not working, if you are stressed out, I understand, but that's never going to change, right? You are going to have more and more problems as your business grows. The difference is that you ideally will become a bigger version of yourself to handle those problems. Problems never go away. They will keep being part of your life until you're dead, and then you have no more problems. The people who make the most amount of money are the ones who are able to solve the biggest problems, period, right? If Elon Musk is thinking about how do we live on Mars, I would say that's a bigger problem than figuring out how to set up your opt-in page. Would that be fair to say? Yeah, and that's why he gets paid way more than, smaller problems. So the goal in business is to continually elevate the level of problems you're able and willing to solve. Now, if you feel stressed and feel like shit and anxious all the time, you are not going to take on those challenges. It's not going to happen for a number of the reasons we've already talked about here. So the easiest way to get out of that state is to recognize you were in that state and just understand, okay, what is the easiest way for me to change how I'm thinking? You don't think differently. You move your body. Remember, emotion comes from motion. If you feel like shit, you will stay there until you change the way you move. So if you naturally want to lower stress, if you want to lower cortisol, if you want to lower anxiety, and you want to feel confident, you want to feel powerful, you want to feel unstoppable, you want to feel like you can take on the world, you move your body. Period, end of story. And I think you've probably experienced this at some point in your life where you get back from a run, you get back from a workout, you have all these ideas, and you feel amazing. And then you start to create stuff. And then you look back on it a couple days later, you might be in a different state, and you start to second guess yourself. You're like, oh man, I don't know if I can charge that amount, or I don't know if someone would really want this. Yeah, maybe I don't think it's a good idea. But who's thinking about that? Is that your lower self or your higher self? The thing is, you will make the best decisions when you are in a higher peak state. And the thing to realize about this is you're not making a rash emotional decision from a place of heightened delusion. No. When you are in a better state, you are tapped into the higher version of yourself, the version of yourself who knows limitless possibility. And when you have ideas from that version, those are the correct answers. When you have those intuitive hits, where you're on the middle of a bike ride and you're sweating it up and you're huffing and puffing and you feel like you're on top of the world and you have this idea and you're like, this is what I'm going to do. That's what you do. Because the version of you several days later, when you're in the slump laying on the couch, not feeling great, thinking about that same problem, you're fucked. It's not going to happen. That's why I always tell people, time kills all deals. Delay feeds doubt. It's not about making rash decisions. It's about understanding that when you are in peak state, you are the highest version of you. And when you make decisions from that version of you, those are the correct decisions to make. You are not making the right decisions from stress, from a place of fear and anxiety. Because what's happening there is that's your lower self, your small little reptilian brain saying, stay small, stay safe. We don't want you to get hurt. But that's not you don't create anything from that state. So move your body, put yourself in a peak state, make better decisions from that place, and your life will change for the better. So those are the 10 big reasons I'm a huge believer that early morning exercise or exercise first part of the day is going to help you create everything you want in life. I don't know the specifics of your business. I don't know your goals and aspirations, but I promise you, if you are fit, if you are healthy, you will have more energy. You will feel better about yourself. Everything will transform. Are there examples of unfit, overweight, tired CEOs and business owners? For sure. But why would you even want to be that person if you have the alternative to be fit and healthy and not just build a great business, but feel amazing in all aspects of your life? So if you're with me on this, just give me a hell yes in the comments below. And I promise you, everything in your life will get better as you move your body early on in the day. Now, if you're a health expert or coach and you're looking to scale your coaching business online and you want a little more of the tactical stuff here, check out the next video. It's our $1 million health coaching roadmap. I'll actually walk you through the 3 pillars and the various systems that need to be installed in your business in order for it to actually move in the direction you want. And you'll get a free business audit in that video where we're going to walk through very specific parts of your business. You'll be able to score yourself and get a whole score to show you where your business is at and then how we can improve that. So that's in the next video. You can click around here in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.